welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a subject that's literally shrouded in modern mystery, intense fear, and honestly, some pretty dramatic stereotypes. We are talking about the Tosa-Inu, which is often called the Japanese Mastiff. Now, when most people hear that name, their mind instantly jumps to this image of an uncontrollable monster. But you know what? The reality of this breed is vastly deeper. It's so much more complex and historically rich. So we're going to unpack exactly what makes this animal a living monument to Japanese culture, and once and for all, separate the myth from the muscle.
To get right to the heart of it, we have to start with a really big question. Why on earth is this massive dog banned across the globe? I mean, this is the core tension surrounding the Tosa-Inu, right? It's a breed that commands both incredible awe and, for many, deep-seated fear. If we want to understand the true myth versus reality of this dog, we first absolutely have to acknowledge its highly controversial legal standing today.
The Tosa-Inu is actually one of the most prominent case studies globally for breed-specific legislation, or BSL. We're looking at strict bans or really heavy restrictions in the UK under the 1991 Dangerous Dogs Act, the US, where import bans existed as early as 1925, by the way, plus Australia, Denmark, Norway, the UAE, and a bunch of others. And it's a highly dynamic legal situation, too. Just to give you an example, over in India, the breed was placed on an administrative list of 23 dangerous breeds in March of 2024. But then, by April, local courts actually overturned that specific list as legally unfounded. So regardless of where you personally stand on breed bans, the fact is, governments worldwide treat this dog as a very serious legal matter. But to understand why, we need to look at how this breed was actually built.
Section 1. The Meiji Genetic Cocktail, a breeding project.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand this dog, we have to travel back to 19th century Japan, specifically to the Kochi prefecture on the island of Shikoku, to uncover its true origins. And here is a fact that surprises a lot of people. The Tosa-Inu is not some ancient, naturally occurring giant. It actually started as a highly conscious breeding project in the second half of the 19th century. Its foundation was the local Shikoku-ken. Now this was a compact, highly courageous boar hunting spitz that weighed only about 20 kilograms, or 45 pounds. They had that brave Japanese spirit for sure. But when Japan's borders opened to Western trade after the major restoration in 1868, local breeders quickly realized their 20-kilo dogs were just completely outmatched in size by all the newly imported European giants.
So the breeders saw an opportunity. They deliberately set out to engineer a canine super heavyweight. When you track the timeline of the bloodline, you can see exactly how this genetic cocktail was systematically mixed. In 1872, they added English bulldogs, basically to grant the dog powerful jaws, massive bone structure, and a really high pain tolerance. Then in 1874, mastiffs were introduced for sheer mass and intimidating size. Fast forward to 1876, and German pointers, along with bull terriers, were mixed in. Why? To make sure this massive dog actually stayed athletic, agile, and kept a sharp sense of smell. And then, much later, around 1924, Great Danes and even St. Bernards were added to increase height, endurance, and elegance. The Japanese systematically injected Western size and strength into their native bloodline, completely transforming that original 20-kilo dog into something else entirely.
Section 2. Anatomy of a sumo dog, physical attributes.
And this brilliantly illustrates the staggering physical result of that intense, multi-decade breeding project. 60 to 90 plus kilograms. Male Tosas can routinely hit this mark, standing up to 75 centimeters at the shoulder. That makes them literally one of the heaviest canine types in the entire world.
But it's not just about immense weight. The Tosa has a broad skull and incredibly powerful jaws. Interestingly, they inherited this loose skin around the head and neck from their Mastiff ancestors, and that actually served as built-in armor, giving them extra protection during combat. They also have this short, rigid, tight-fitting coat, which you'll commonly see in red, fawn, or brindle. But here is the absolutely crucial point to take away. Despite their massive, heavy appearance, they are not lazy, lumbering couch potatoes. No way. The Tosa-Inu was engineered to be an explosive sprinter. They possess this frankly terrifying combination of extreme size and rapid athletic agility.
Section 3. The Silent Samurai, Stoic Psychology.
Okay, so we've established their intimidating physical presence, right? But the temperament is where the real story is. It's a perfect contrast between Western expectations and the Japanese ideal. Think about it. When we in the West hear the phrase fighting dog, we usually picture terriers. We picture barking, chaotic, hyperactive, impulsive aggression. But the Japanese Tosa-Inu was bred for the exact opposite. Their genetic makeup is hardwired for silent control, incredible patience, and absolute stoicism under stress. They do not waste energy making noise. They were literally bred to be the philosophers of the dog world, just quietly observing until action is absolutely necessary.
And the reason for all this stoicism? It's deeply rooted in the tradition of dog sumo. In Japan, canine combat was this highly ritualized spectacle that mirrored human sumo wrestling. The goal wasn't to violently tear an opponent apart. Actually, the goal was to physically overpower them, pin them to the ring, the dojo, and just hold them there. And here's the real kicker. Absolute silence was required. If a Tosa barked, growled, or showed any undisciplined anger in the ring, they were immediately disqualified. That is exactly why the Tosa is known as the sumo wrestler of sinology. They are true silent samurai. Now, because of this intense history, popular articles often mix up the dog's historical function with impulsive human aggression. We really need to dismantle that myth right now. The Tosa was deliberately selected for a calm, controlled demeanor around humans. Genuinely, aggression toward people was bred right out of them. However, there is a very real behavioral risk here, and that is high intra-species competition. Because of their history in the ring, a Tosa has almost zero tolerance for other dogs, especially those of the same sex. They might not actively go out looking for a fight, but they absolutely will not back down from one. This is exactly why experts strongly recommend them as the only dog in a household. Section 4. The Formula One Responsibility. Ownership Reality. Now, what's really interesting is how this brings us full circle to their modern legal status. The source material uses this fantastic metaphor to unpack the reality. Owning a Tosa is like owning a Formula One car on public roads. Think about a Formula One car. It's an incredibly fine-tuned, magnificent piece of engineering. It's not inherently evil or malicious, but it is immensely powerful. If you're driving an F1 car on a public road and you lose control, the consequences are instantly fatal. The exact same logic applies to the Tosa. It's simply an issue of raw power. If a dog with the strength of a tiger and a weight of 90 kilograms loses its temper because of an irresponsible owner, the results are catastrophic. And that is exactly why owning this dog comes with a very strict set of prerequisites. Number 1, you've got to have prior experience with large, dominant breeds like a Cane Corso or a Rottweiler. This is definitely not a dog for a beginner. Number 2, you literally need the physical strength to hold back 70+ kilograms of explosive muscle if they suddenly lunge at something. Number 3, you need a highly secure home environment with a very strong fence. Number 4, early, intensive socialization and obedience training is completely mandatory, not optional, so they learn how to exist peacefully in the world. And number 5, the owner must maintain a calm, balanced energy. You see, the Tosa mirrors the energy of its handler. It responds to strict but gentle, violence-free leadership.
Which leaves us with this final, profound question to consider. Looking at everything we've uncovered in today's explainer, the strategic Meiji breeding, the sheer physical power, that stoic sumo psychology, and the immense responsibility required to handle them, we really have to ask, does the true danger lie in the breed itself or at the other end of the leash? The Tosa-Inu is a living piece of cultural heritage. It's a dog that looks at the world with the eyes of a philosopher and the body of a gladiator. Taking on a Tosa means taking on the massive responsibility of teaching a perfect fighting machine how to be a pacifist. I really hope this explainer has helped you see beyond all those dramatic headlines and appreciate the incredibly complex reality of the silent samurai. Thanks so much for learning with me today.